Who would like to take an adventure through Spain? I know I sure would. Unfortunately, I can't bring you there right now. I'd love to, but I'll at least try to bring you as close as I can with this song. Hey everybody, welcome back to Josh Dell'Aria's Musical Escapades. I'm your host, Josh Dell'Aria. I'm glad to be back. I apologize for last week, guys. I should have told you guys that I was going to try to take a week off because it was going to be hard to email people and reach out and try to find the next song to do over Thanksgiving weekend. And I knew I was going to have a hard time reaching out to artists over the holiday week and all that sort of stuff. So I said I might as well just take a weekend off and regroup to next week. But I should have told you guys first because I had kind of planned that. So I apologize. Nonetheless, I have some awesome new music from a great band called The Unknown New, which is based out of Chicago and spearheaded by Paul Mutzabaugh. Now, The Unknown New is actually kind of like a jazz rock fusion band, and I said they were based in Chicago, but they must have traveled to Spain at some point because this song that I'm about to play for you is written in, or the title is in Spanish, and Paul on his website says that he speaks Spanish. So I gotta think he's gotta know something about Spain. So this song is called Pasaje Valenciano, which if I have my Spanish right, is Spanish for Valencian Passage. Now, Valencia is a place in Spain that's really well known for its trade and kind of its wealth and kind of beautiful architecture. I think this is the kind of mood that Paul and the band are trying to capture in this song, is to help you kind of imagine that you're walking down this like trade route in Spain, or this kind of like streetway in Spain, where you can see like some of the traders passing by, and you can feel the gentle breezes and the bright sunlight and all that sort of stuff. Now, the other thing about this song is that it's all instrumental, and I've only done a few all instrumental songs on this channel so far. But as you guys know from the past, one of the things that I've mentioned about that is that I have somewhat different standards, because since there's no vocals, you have to kind of express the point through the instruments that you're using. So that's kind of one of the things that I think that should be picked up on a lot in this kind of a song. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play it here for you. Again, this is called Pasaje Valenciano. Yeah, one of the cool things about this song is that it's just so relaxing. And it's just it's really unique, and I think it just kind of puts you in a really. So the first cool thing you hear in this song is this blend of instruments that they start with at the beginning. Yeah, it just makes you feel like you're right there in Valencia, looking at all those beautiful buildings and all the beautiful people that are coming by to trade, and just everything around you, all the scenery and everything. Okay, so after that whole melody goes through and all that sort of stuff, the band goes back to what they did at the very beginning of the song, and just listen how this goes right in, just feeds right into the solo. Yeah, it's just like bam, just right. Okay, so we've been playing this like melody all along, and you're getting used to the environment now, and now it's time to celebrate that. Like this, what's kind of cool about this is that it kind of gets you kind of it builds up the music a little bit, so it kind of brings out that more of that celebration aspect of what's going on in the setting. Now, the band from this point on could go on and continue to have that loud kind of celebratory aspect of their music continue on for a longer period of that song, but they instead choose to end it off pretty abruptly with a very quiet sound. Yeah, I think that's really cool that they do that because it's not something that I think most musicians would put into that point of a song. And I think it's just really cool because it really took me off guard. I didn't really expect anything like that to happen. And I think that's actually a really cool thing for them to do. Just because, whenever somebody tries to catch you off guard, I think that makes you pay more attention to the music. And it therefore brings you kind of closer to the experience. And especially in a song like this where it's all instrumental, as they're bringing out the aspects of the song that they, kind of want you to experience, I think it's really important to kind of keep people engaged and, kind of with the music. Now, the band definitely has some other surprising things that they do in the song that are kind of like icing on the cake for this. So one of the things that they do is they actually repeat the melody much earlier than a typical jazz song. And I know I wouldn't necessarily call this a straight jazz song, but it definitely has a jazz feel to it. So that's kind of like the way I think of it in a little way. But usually, the other instruments will usually take turns soloing over a jazz song. So the way a jazz song is normally structured is that the band will play a melody either once or twice, usually twice, and then each instrument will take its turn soloing over that same chord progression. And then usually after that, the instruments will come back together again and play the melody. That doesn't happen in this song. So actually what happens is that the guitar plays the melody, and then the guitar just does a solo, and then the guitar plays the melody again, and then the guitar does another solo, and nothing else solos. So it's a little bit different than your typical jazz song. But I think that's kind of cool the way they do it, though, too, because it does have that feel to it. It almost makes it sound like an atypical jazz song. Blah, 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 blah. Now, the other thing that this band does is they actually add a coda to this song. Now, if you don't know what a coda is, basically a coda is kind of like a little bit of an extra, kind of like it's usually like a final chorus that's usually involved at the end of, usually it's most often used in classical and pop songs. Usually, if you think of a pop song, like they usually put the final chorus in and then they put like an outro in. You can kind of think of the outro as like the coda, or the last chorus and the outro as the coda. It's not typically found in a lot of jazz songs, and where it is found, it's usually very short. It's usually either just playing like the last last line of the melody again a couple times over, or it might just involve a couple of extra chords to kind of end up. So here's the thing too. Here's the other thing that they did. They did all this without saying a word. And that's what an instrumental song needs to do in order to be great. Now, you guys might remember from some of the other instrumental songs that I have done in the past, like one of the things that I criticized them for was not really being able to draw out the mood so that you can understand it right away, even having no knowledge of background. So I think with all that in mind, I think this song actually has a chance to be the #1 song of the year. And it's not very typical that I find a lot of instrumental songs that have a really solid chance of making the #1 song. But I think when instrumental songs do this, a lot of times they wind up being actually better than vocal songs, just because it's 10 times harder, at least. It's a ton harder to make this kind of instrumental song than it is to do that same thing, bring out the emotions of the song with lyrics. That's all I got for this song. Thank you all for watching, and I do want to say thank you to Paul Mutzabaugh for allowing me to use the music. And if you guys like what he does, if you guys like what the Unknown New does, all their music is on his website at paulmutzabaugh.com. And go check it out, because he's got tons of awesome. Also, the top 20 is coming! The top 20 is coming! And your favorite song could be on there, but it won't be if I don't know what it is. So, make sure you send that over to me. You can email me here at Dell'Aria's musicalescapades@gmail.com. Put it on our Facebook page at facebook.com/JoshD's or you can leave a comment below. One way or another, get it to me and I will definitely listen to it. I'd love to hear from you guys and see what you guys think is awesome this year. I don't know that I'll put it on my top 20, but I could with your help, so you never know. And if you guys like this kind of stuff, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, because more of these kinds of musicians deserve a lot more of your attention. And just like the Unknown New, there's plenty more out there. And the more you guys share these videos, the more attention they're going to get. So it's a great benefit for them. As always, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.